holding a tablet that was written thousands of years ago and being able to read.
AI ability, that AI has the ability to translate some of these ancient languages.
3,700 years ago, in the heart of ancient Babylon, a small clay tablet was pressed with strange wedge-shaped marks. To the untrained eye, it looks like little more than scratches from a forgotten age. But hidden in those lines is a code so precise, so advanced, that it would baffle scholars for centuries. For generations, the tablet was ignored, misinterpreted, or treated as nothing more than an artifact of routine bookkeeping. Yet, locked within its surface was something extraordinary, a secret that could change the story of human history. When artificial intelligence was finally turned loose on its numbers, patterns began to emerge. Patterns that were not random. Patterns that seemed impossible for a civilization nearly 4,000 years old. The AI revealed that the Babylonians weren't just counting grain or measuring fields. They were doing mathematics at a level no one believed possible. Ratios, calculations, geometric relationships. Long before the Greeks, long before modern science, they had already walked paths we thought were ours alone. But this revelation carried something darker. Because if the Babylonians held this knowledge, what else might they have known? And why was it buried, broken, and almost forgotten? The discovery of this tablet has set off a storm of controversy. Historians, mathematicians, and scientists scrambling to piece together its true meaning. Was it a teaching tool, a land surveyor's reference, or something far more mysterious, perhaps even forbidden knowledge, hidden from the world until now? The deeper AI digs into the ancient code, the more unsettling the picture becomes. And what it has uncovered so far is only the beginning. The story begins not in Babylon itself, but thousands of years later in the dusty hands of an adventurer named Edgar J. Banks, the very man who inspired the fictional Indiana Jones. In the early 1900s, Banks traveled across Mesopotamia, trading in ancient relics. Among the many fragments he collected was a small, broken tablet. Unlike the grand monuments or golden treasures looted from the desert sands, this piece of clay seemed insignificant, just rows of numbers etched into its surface. Banks eventually sold it to an American publisher named George Arthur Plimpton, a collector of rare books and artifacts. The tablet, later catalogued as Plimpton 322, ended up in Columbia University's collection in New York. For decades, it sat quietly in drawers, studied only by a handful of scholars.
What they saw puzzled them. The symbols weren't random. They formed sequences, columns, ratios, numbers arranged with precision. Yet no one could fully explain what they meant. Was it an accountant's record, a teaching exercise, or some kind of code? The tablet carried a secret that would take nearly a century to decode. And when researchers finally began to suspect what it represented, mathematics far ahead of its time, the academic world grew uneasy. Because if Babylonian scribes were doing advanced geometry nearly 4,000 years ago, then much of what we believed about the history of science was wrong. Still, the mystery deepened. Why would such knowledge appear in this form? Why just one tablet? And why were parts of it broken, as if entire rows of data had been deliberately erased or lost to time? From the moment scholars realized the strange numbers on Plimpton 322 weren't random, a storm began to brew. Some mathematicians claimed it was nothing more than a school exercise, a way for ancient scribes to practice multiplication tables. Others insisted it was far more profound, a systematic record of geometric relationships, a guide to Pythagorean triples written more than 1,000 years before Pythagoras himself. But this raised a problem. If Babylonian scribes knew these principles so early, then the Greeks, long credited with the birth of mathematics, were not the pioneers we believed. Instead, they may have inherited knowledge already ancient, passed down from civilizations far older than their own. Historians resisted this idea. To accept it meant rewriting centuries of established history. It meant acknowledging that advanced geometry, perhaps even a form of trigonometry, existed long before the Greeks put their mark on it. The debate grew heated, with academics divided between traditionalists and radicals. And then there was the damage. The tablet is broken, missing its edge. Only 4 columns and 15 rows survive, but experts suspect it originally held more, perhaps 6 columns, 38 rows. What was in the missing data? Were the Babylonians recording hundreds of geometric relationships, or something even more precise? Without those lost numbers, the argument seemed endless. The evidence was tantalizing, but incomplete. Some dismissed it as coincidence. Others whispered of deliberate erasure, knowledge stripped away, leaving only fragments for us to puzzle over. For decades, the mystery stayed locked in stalemate. That is, until artificial intelligence was used to peer into the patterns, and suddenly the debate took a chilling turn. When Daniel Mansfield and Normand Wildberger at the University of New South Wales fed Plimpton 322 into artificial intelligence models, the silence of the clay tablet finally broke. Using machine learning trained on Babylonian mathematics and cuneiform, the AI reconstructed the missing rows. Piece by piece, numbers reappeared, filling gaps lost to time. What emerged was more than surprising. It was terrifying. The patterns were no longer speculation. They were deliberate, precise, and ordered. Row after row revealed what modern mathematicians call Pythagorean triples, perfect sets of numbers that describe right-angled triangles with absolute accuracy. Long before Pythagoras, the Babylonians had not only discovered these triples, they had systematized them.
But here was the real shock. The Babylonians weren't measuring angles like the Greeks did. They worked instead with ratios between sides. This meant their trigonometry avoided messy approximations and irrational numbers. Every calculation was exact. No rounding errors, no imprecision, just flawless mathematics written in cuneiform over 3,700 years ago. Imagine being an ancient surveyor. With this method, you could map land, align massive temples, or design canals without a single mistake. A system so efficient it rivaled, maybe even surpassed, parts of modern trigonometry. This wasn't a lucky discovery. It was a tool, a kind of ancient mathematical handbook. And that's when the most chilling question appeared. If the Babylonians mastered exact trigonometry so early, what else had they known? And what purpose did this system serve? Because mathematics this powerful doesn't emerge by accident. It exists to solve urgent, real-world problems. And another ancient tablet would soon reveal exactly how the Babylonians used it, and why their knowledge was never meant to be forgotten. The decoding of Plimpton 322 might have proven the Babylonians' brilliance, but another discovery showed how they put that brilliance to work. In Iraq, archaeologists uncovered a second clay tablet, known as C427. At first glance, it didn't look mathematical at all. But etched into its surface were lines, measurements, and symbols that would feel familiar to anyone today. It was, in essence, a surveying map. And this wasn't some temple record or ceremonial diagram. It was created for something deeply human, a land dispute. Two neighbors arguing over property boundaries. To settle it, scribes used mathematics. On C427, the shapes were exact, right angles, proportional divisions, clear geometric relationships. This wasn't guesswork. It was precise surveying, powered by the very trigonometry preserved in Plimpton 322. Think of it like this. Plimpton was the formula book, the master table of ratios. C427 was the field application, where those ratios were used to divide farmland, mark boundaries, and enforce fairness in legal conflicts. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. This wasn't just about math. It was about power. With this knowledge, Babylonian rulers and scribes could literally redraw the world, measure land, divide property, control irrigation, and regulate who had access to fertile soil and water. In a society where survival depended on these resources, mathematics became a weapon of governance. Sound familiar? Today, we use GPS maps, satellite surveys, and digital property records. 3,700 years ago, they were doing the same, only with clay tablets and base 60 ratios.
Mathematics was more than science. It was authority. And if they were this advanced in controlling land, what other hidden knowledge might they have used to control society itself? If Plimpton 322 was the handbook and Psi.427 the field notes, then these two tablets were only fragments of something much larger, a vast mathematical culture that once thrived in Babylon. And here's the unsettling truth. They survived only by chance. Across museums and universities today, tens of thousands of Babylonian tablets sit untouched. Many were dug up a century ago and shelved, their wedge-shaped cuneiform marks never translated. The sheer volume is overwhelming, and the number of experts who can still read the ancient script is painfully small. Entire archives remain silent, holding secrets as extraordinary as Plimpton itself. This is where artificial intelligence changes everything. In recent years, AI models trained on cuneiform have achieved staggering results. 98% accuracy in translating damaged legal texts, even filling in missing sections by spotting patterns invisible to human eyes. A scholar might spend months wrestling with one broken tablet. AI can process hundreds in the same time. Think about what that means. Plimpton 322 sat unnoticed for decades, hiding the earliest trigonometry known to humanity. If that slipped through the cracks, what else could be waiting? More mathematical tables? Advanced engineering guides? Star charts mapping the heavens with eerie precision? Maybe even medical knowledge that disappeared thousands of years ago. And here's the frightening part. Our picture of history isn't limited only by what's been lost. It's limited by what we've chosen to look at and what we've ignored. AI doesn't have those blinders. It doesn't care about preserving neat timelines or traditional narratives. It just decodes. And in doing so, it may reveal that our entire story of human progress is built on half-truths and missing chapters. For centuries, we've told ourselves a simple story. Human knowledge is a straight line. From primitive beginnings, step by step, we grew smarter, inventing the wheel, building pyramids, discovering science, and finally arriving at the modern age. But what if that story is wrong? What if the line isn't straight, but broken, rising and falling like a heartbeat? Knowledge gained, knowledge lost, and sometimes rediscovered thousands of years later. The Babylonian tablets whisper of a world where math wasn't just survival, it was mastery. They didn't stumble into right angles by accident. They could design them.
They weren't fumbling with crude numbers. They had entire systems of calculation so precise they rivaled what our scientists achieved only a few centuries ago. So the question echoes, how many other peaks of knowledge have risen and vanished? How many times has humanity climbed higher than we imagine, only for time, fire, and conquest to sweep it all away? AI doesn't just decode symbols. It forces us to confront the possibility that our ancestors may have known things we cannot explain, that the timeline we cling to is incomplete. And if Babylon holds these secrets, what about Egypt? What about the Indus Valley? What about lost civilizations whose names we no longer even remember? Every tablet decoded is more than a translation. It's a mirror, showing us not only who they were, but what we might have forgotten. But reflection is never safe, because once you start to see history this way, you can't go back. And the next discovery may not just challenge the story of math, it may shatter the foundations of everything we think we know about the ancient world.
Imagine this, a forgotten Babylonian library, its clay shelves stacked high with tablets, rows upon rows of silent knowledge sealed away for 3,700 years, each one a potential time bomb of information, waiting for AI to crack it open. And here's the question that no one dares to ask out loud. What if some of that knowledge was never meant to be found again? The tablets we've seen, Plimpton 322, C.427, already shake the pillars of history. But archaeologists warn that what remains hidden may go far beyond trigonometry. There are whispers of star charts mapping the skies with uncanny accuracy, centuries before Greek astronomy, of agricultural texts suggesting techniques that rival modern science, of omens and rituals, descriptions of events that sound disturbingly close to prophecies. What if AI uncovers knowledge that doesn't just rewrite history, but destabilizes the present? Think about it. Civilizations guarded secrets for a reason. Some knowledge was sacred, dangerous, or forbidden. The Babylonians believed numbers themselves had divine power. To them, revealing certain patterns might invoke forces beyond human control. Now, AI is tearing down that wall. It doesn't pause to ask if humanity is ready. It just decodes. And in doing so, we may be about to learn truths that unsettle not only historians, but religions, governments, and entire cultures. Because the real terror isn't just that Babylon knew more than we thought. The real terror is that their knowledge may reveal that history isn't moving forward at all, that we are walking in circles, that civilizations rise, fall, and vanish, carrying their secrets into the dust, until one day, those secrets rise again. And this time, it's our world they will shake. So here we are, standing at the edge of a mystery that has only just begun. 2 tablets decoded, and already the world looks different. Imagine what will happen when thousands more are fed into AI systems. What will they reveal? Forgotten sciences? Lost technologies? Or something darker? Warnings carved in clay. Messages from a civilization that rose, peaked, and collapsed, leaving behind a trail of symbols for us to find at the very moment we, too, stand at the edge of crisis. Maybe it isn't just history being decoded. Maybe it's a mirror, a warning, a reminder that brilliance does not guarantee survival, that even the greatest civilizations can fall. And here's the haunting thought. The Babylonians left their message in stone, knowing it might last forever, but they couldn't control when it would be found. What if they meant for these tablets to be uncovered now, at this exact moment in history, when AI, the most powerful tool of our age, has finally given us the eyes to read them? If that's true, then these discoveries aren't just academic. They're a call, a test, a question echoing across 37 centuries. Will we learn from the past or repeat it? Because somewhere, in a forgotten storeroom, the next tablet waits, and what it holds may not only challenge history, it may decide the future. The clay tablet is silent now, its wedges carved by steady hands almost 4 millennia ago. The scribe who pressed those marks into wet earth is long gone, dust among dust. Yet their voice has outlived empires, kingdoms, even languages. And now, through the cold precision of artificial intelligence, that voice speaks again. But here's the chilling question. What if the voice isn't only from the past, but for the future? Think about it. Babylon was a world power. Its rulers commanded armies, built wonders, and believed their walls would never fall. Yet they did. And buried in their ruins, we now find records of brilliance so advanced it humbles our pride. It's easy to look back and marvel. Harder is to look forward and wonder. What will our own ruins say? If one day, thousands of years from now, another civilization unearths our archives, our data, our science, our warnings, what will they think? Will they shake their heads at our arrogance? Will they whisper about how close we came to destroying ourselves even as we unlocked the secrets of the universe? The Babylonian tablets do more than reveal knowledge. They remind us of something far more uncomfortable, that civilizations are fragile, that wisdom is temporary, that power, no matter how mighty, can vanish overnight. And so the true terror may not be in what these tablets reveal, but in what they imply. That our story is not unique, that we are not the pinnacle, that history's wheel turns endlessly, civilizations rising, collapsing, and leaving behind fragments for the next to uncover. The Babylonians left us their numbers, but hidden in those numbers may be a warning. Every empire thinks it will last forever. None ever does. And perhaps neither will ours.